You want to know the secret to crush at mobile gaming? Use a good controller. In this video, I'm going to show you the best 9 controllers that you can use with your iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple TV to absolutely dominate the competition. Welcome everybody to Apple Insider. And like I said, I have 9 incredible controllers to walk you through of why they are good, what makes them stand out, and why you should consider them. And whatever your favorite is, I've got links for them all down below in the description. So let's go ahead and start with my #1 current recommendation for best controller for mobile gaming. So my favorite controller is the Backbone 1. And this is actually the new PlayStation edition. So there is a non-PlayStation version. It's just a skin job, basically. So there's nothing different with this version, just looks kind of like the Sony controllers. But I really like this controller. It is very comfortable, very easy to hold, got the joysticks, buttons, everything feels awesome in your hand. And I love that this extends back. So when you want to put your phone in, all you gotta do is basically line the bottom up there. I'm gonna pull the whole thing open and press it together, and just like that, my phone is in. Now this has this handy little Backbone button, and anytime I can press that, it'll launch the Backbone app. Then I'll be brought to the whole catalog of what you can do with the Backbone. So you can use any of the games you would normally do, any of the games on the App Store, but they also have all these just shortcuts to common things. I mean, heck, they even have Fortnite on here, free to play through Xbox. There's a lot of neat stuff. There's a bunch of stuff to discover and use. They have a built-in sharing button here on the side as well. I'm sorry, over here. Press it to start recording, hold it to take a screenshot wherever you are. It records at 1080, 30 frames per second, so you can share all of your ultimate moments. This is an amazing controller. I love the PlayStation version of it and just the colors of it. It's super cool. This is a great controller. Check this out, the Backbone 1. After the Backbone 1, the controller I would recommend the second most are these ones here from Hex. There's a couple different versions and you can completely design your own from scratch, because what Hex controllers are basically highly modified versions of PlayStation 5 DualSense 5 controllers. That's right, this is a legit DualSense 5 controller that is fully MFI certified, that they've modded with a custom paint job, different textures that can add more grip. There's different joysticks that you can swap out. These pop out and you can put different heights on them. So if you prefer to have a taller joystick on the right that gives you more precision, doable here. They send you multiple joysticks in the box, and they're just ultra comfortable. Plus, they have this back pad here that you can use to program and customize these for different things. So there are multiple buttons on this back and you can feel them. So as you're playing, you're holding your controller like normal and you can squeeze these paddles, hit these buttons, and it's a lot of ways easier to do certain aspects, and you can program them all on the remote. No additional software or anything necessary. You can program them and map them to the buttons of your controller. So if you want to change this back paddle to the X button, you can do that. So instead of having to press X, you can squeeze the paddle if that's easier for you. So these can be helpful for adaptive reasons, but they can also just really give you a leg up. The reason that they're not my #1 controller is they are bulkier, so we're talking about mobile gaming, it's bigger, and they're more expensive. These are obviously going to be for like professional, really people who want the best controller and don't mind paying for it. So if you're okay paying a bit more, these are where it's at. It's just a little bit more expensive, but they're fully MFI certified to work with your iPhone, all of your Apple gear. They're amazing, and especially if you're doing like PlayStation or Xbox gaming on your mobile device with like remote play, pick up something like this. You just gotta pay a little more for it. The next controller that I would recommend comes with a little bit of an asterisk, and that's the Razer Kishi. So the Kishi is an incredible controller, and I very much like it. But here's the rub. There's a new one coming out. So while this one is phenomenal, and I love the design of it, it's very comfortable to use, it works great, there's a new one just on the horizon. Razer says a new version is launching this fall. So if you aren't, completely sold on this design, you could always hold out for the next generation version, because it does look more similar to the Backbone that I already talked about, more of this style. But personally, I kind of like the compactness of this version of the Razer Kishi. After that, I think we start to get into the the personal preferences territory. These are Sony's controllers. So I really like the DualSense 5 controller. These were recently added to be fully supported here on iOS and all of Apple's other platforms. I think these were a huge step up for Sony, and they've continued to improve them, including being able to customize like the feel of the triggers and other stuff all on iOS and Apple's other platforms. These are amazing controllers. I personally prefer these when I'm looking at console controllers. Now, if you still happen to be a PlayStation person, you can opt for the last generation version, the DualSense or the DualShock 4 controllers from the PS4. Nothing wrong with these. Classic, very comfortable, easy to hold. These also obviously work entirely with Apple's platforms. So if you have these lying around, maybe you've moved to the PlayStation 5 and you still have some old PlayStation 4 controllers, you can use them. Or if you have a PS5, you can use those controllers. Since we're talking about console controllers, you can still use the Xbox controllers. These are awesome too. There's a lot of people who prefer the feel, the size, the weight, everything of the Xbox controllers, and there's no reason that you cannot use these on mobile. They are excellent controllers, and OtterBox even came out with a cool thing. So I like this blue quite a bit, but you can get this easy grip controller shell, which is really neat. So if you're looking for just like any way to up your abilities in a game, you can get this additional grip that pops on, and we have these covers here that add more grip to these guys while you are using them. And I think this is pretty neat to give yourself an extra advantage, to give you more grip on the controller that isn't terribly much more. And they even have an additional mobile clip to attach your phone to the front. It may look a little ridiculous, but here's the mobile gaming clip. You can see my iPhone is perched up here, and it securely holds it into place so I can game. I have a very adjustable angle on my phone, how high it is, how much it tilts, all of that. And it's great to be able to adjust and really see and control everything. Gives a little bit more weight in the controller because, of course, you have the weight of your phone up here, but it's very easy to add on. Just another really neat modification for the Xbox controller. And finally, in terms of the Xbox stuff here, just to mention, OtterBox also has a dedicated carrying case to go with. Now with this, there's even a little built-in stand here along the top, so I can plop that back. It's a little dark, but yeah, that folds back, and then my iPhone can sit right here while I'm playing. So I can prop it up and then use my controller without the clip, and then when I'm ready to go, take off my phone, close that up, throw my controller inside the box, and there's a port in the front, making it easy to charge my controller while it's in its case. So if you really want to protect your controller on the go, use all these neat OtterBox accessories with an Xbox controller, definitely check this out. I can't talk about the PlayStation and Xbox controllers without mentioning the Nintendo controllers. So recently you can use the new Nintendo Joy-Cons or the Pro Controller with your iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple TV. And what's neat about the Joy-Cons is these can actually be paired. When they're both paired, the iPhone or device will recognize them as a single controller. So you can still use one in each hand just like this, or get the middle piece to connect them together. But you can still use them independently and game like this on your iPhone, Mac, Apple TV, iPhone, all of that. It's really neat how it actually automatically detects them as a single controller, just like the Nintendo Switch would. So if you've got a Switch around, yeah, you can use Joy-Cons with your Apple devices. Rounding out the last few controllers here, this is the SteelSeries Nimbus Plus. There's an attachment that goes right here in the front that holds your phone, all MFI certified, battery status here along the top. Very kind of classic controller. These are a little bit more affordable compared to some of the other ones on the list, but they're still wireless. These are still solid controllers. Apple sells these in the stores. They're very highly recommended. Just a little bit more casual. These are kind of made for Apple first, not the other platforms like the other controllers are. So still a solid option, but maybe just not quite as polished or high level as the other controllers. That brings me to the last one on the list, and not because this is a bad controller by any means. It just happens to be a wired Lightning controller, and I tend to prefer the wireless ones. So there are ones that are wireless that we looked at, like all of the PlayStation and Xbox ones, and the SteelSeries ones. They're the ones that are hardware connected, like the Backbone and the Kishi. And then we have ones like this that actually use a wire to connect to your phone, just a lightning cable to plug in. So this is kind of a standard Xbox controller feel, a little bit different, a little bit more narrow along the back, I think, but otherwise very similar to a common Xbox controller. But this was made for iPhone and connects directly into it with that lightning cable. So you have all your stuff you'd see on an Xbox controller, the Xbox button in the center, the standard controller layout, all of that is here, and even the Xbox colors are present. Now there's a little clip right here. This fella, it bends down, and then it will go right in to the middle of the controller, if I can get this plastic out, slides in, and that is what allows me to mount my phone. So it hooks up like that, then my phone can be here in the center, and then I can clip the lightning cable in to the bottom just like that. Now I have a wired controller that I can use to play games with. So if you like the wired ones, but you want to set up a little bit more, you don't want to go the other way around, this is a neat option. It still has a dedicated app to go with it, the Ludo Map app. It'll prompt you to download it as soon as you plug it in. So you can download that app for a big game catalog and social features, stuff like that. But it's pretty cool. I mean, if you like a wired controller, this is definitely a solid option to consider. Just not my favorite to use compared. I'd rather go for a standard Xbox controller, but it's a little bit more affordable. So if you guys want to check this out, the Power Riot Xbox controller for iPhone. So those are my favorite controllers. There's a lot of options here that can really do a lot of things, just depending on what you want. You can go for something extremely tiny and useful like the Joy-Cons, so you can separate them into two devices and hold them like that. You can go with just the really highly capable. You can go with wired connections. There's a lot of options, and I encourage you to find the one that makes the sense for your style of gameplay and the games that you want to play. Whether it is playing things like Apple Arcade games that are casual, whether it is racing games, or you just want to dominate in some sort of remote play capability streaming from your Xbox or your PlayStation 5. It's entirely doable with these controllers. Let me know down below in the comments or on Twitter at Andrew_OSU which one is your favorite. Which is your favorite controller? Because I want to hear about it. Let me know and stay tuned. I have a lot more videos coming your way.